It was saying connecting, and it wasn't connecting. I'm always on time, and right now I'm 2 minutes late, which makes me a little insane. But tonight is one of the most exciting nights for us. Gary and I are going to be interviewing David Schmidt, the inventor and creator of the X39 Lifewave patches, all of his patches. I'm super excited. So I'm sorry that I'm a couple minutes late, but Instagram was playing a little trick, I guess, because I've been advertising this for the last couple days, and I tried to not do it, really. I'm not late, Jen. Instagram would not let me go live. I'm never late. I'm always on the dot. So thank you guys for joining and being patient. I thought I was going to have to like redo the app and all this stuff, but what we're excited. Gar, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here. Gar. Gar?
Can't see you. Oh, there you are.
Okay. I'm here. I'm here.
You are never late. I know that. I said to Barbara, what's up?
Gar. I restarted my phone because I went on my, the Play Store to update the app. It wouldn't even show me that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to restart my phone really quick and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, we got it covered. We got it covered. Shelly's in the house.
Shelly's
Okay.
in the house. Mary's in the house. Jen's in the house. Jen's like, you're late. I'm like, I'm not late.
Oh, big
Angel's in the house. Valentina's in the house. We got everybody.
So anyway, let me just get this out of the way. All Lifewave's products are not intended to cure, treat, diagnose, prevent any disease. If you're pregnant or nursing or on medication, please consult with your physician first. Our patching podcasts are for educational purposes only. We are not doctors, nor do we take the place of your medical provider. So let's see here. I guess David, he has your page, and at some point he's going to...
Yes, I think he's in here. Yes. Should I bring him in?
Yeah, bring him in. Okay. And then we're going to turn off the comments, remember, and kind of...
Yeah, I know. Let's just tell everybody, guys, we're going to turn off the comments for a little bit, and then we're going to turn them back on. Okay? But how do I do this? David!
Crystal, how are you? Hey, Superman.
Good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Long time no see. Not really though, since we were just in Aruba.
Not a bad place to be.
Not a bad place to be at all.
Yeah.
Garrett, I have to turn off these comments. I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Well, if you don't know how to, then so be it. Let me just say that the first day of summer will never be the same, is all I'm going to say. To have you on the show tonight, it's a thrill.
Yes.
We're coming up on our year anniversary, and what a gift from God to have you to help explain kind of what all this does.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to this.
So
yes, amazing. I know. Thank you for your time tonight. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you want to start?
Oh my God, Garrett, do you have somewhere do you want to start, or do you want me to ask?
Yeah, I got just a couple of things off the top of my head. So I know we don't make any medical claims, and I've seen probably 400 testimonials. Crystal and I have done this probably 50 times, and we've seen 100 testimonials. And correct me if I'm wrong, or if this is a misspeak kind of thing. I believe this is the greatest health and wellness product ever invented, and I tell people that because of what I've seen. And it's beyond amazing. Took away my wife's chronic wrist and hip pain in 2 days. Diverticulitis, heart gone. And every week we bring someone on that just blows our mind. Like, what? You wore it for how long? So please help us out here.
Okay. Well, that was very kind of you. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think the first thing that I'd say is the way that our bodies are created is to work with light. And this has been known for thousands of years, spiritual practices, but we know scientifically for the last 50 years that there's actually light that's being emitted by all living cells. So this was a discovery that was made in Germany by a scientist by the name of Fritz Popp. And if you take plant cells, animal cells, human cells, and you put them into a room that's completely dark, and then you use a device called a photomultiplier tube, which basically counts photons of light, you detect light being emitted from the human body. And this light originates in the DNA. And the amazing things is that this light actually comes from the 0-point field at the center of the DNA. So our DNA, the very core of our existence, is attached to a realm where you could say God exists. So this light is coming through our DNA, coming through our cells, and it's used to coordinate all the communication that occurs in the human body. So if we can understand the code at which the light is being used to turn on and turn off different biochemical systems in the body, we can use that code to do things like improve immune system, relieve pain, improve sleep, and of course, anti-aging and longevity effects.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of detailed information kind of over my head a little bit. The other thing that just came to mind, and you don't have to answer this, but I know we have Mike Lindell, Mr. Pillow, in the house, you know, sharing the patches.
Right. I love Mike.
Yeah, I do too. Everybody does. I mean, you can't get a more straight shooter than Mike Lindell. Does that mean the possibility that our favorite president might be on the patches too? Because he's pretty energetic for 77 years old.
You know, so President Trump, actually, when he was in the White House, he had one of my inventions sitting on his desk. So I have a good friend, Thomas Burke, that I've been friends with since 2005. And Thomas is our ambassador to the Red Cross. So since 2005, Thomas has been able to help us facilitate donations through the Red Cross to help those in need. And 25 years ago, Thomas sold a yacht to then Donald Trump, and they became friends. So when President Trump got into the White House, he said, oh, you know, I know that you have this invention. I think President Trump would really like that. And this was a new type of metal alloy that I invented that looked like gold. And it's actually made of a compound that never existed before. This was something that I created. So yeah, he had a commemorative coin, a commemorative Lifewave coin that was laser etched, and it looked like gold sitting on his desk.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Crystal,
yeah.
Turn it over to you.
Yeah. So the first question that I always get asked, and people are say that, like, I'm so skeptical, will it help with X, Y, or Z? Will it help with this ailment? And I always say to them that your stem cells will go to where your body needs repair. Is that accurate, or do you have a better way of explaining how? Because people are like, I don't understand this. I just started this patch yesterday, and my pain of 20 years is gone. People are just not able to process these things that fast. I didn't have results that fast, but there are a lot of people that do. So how do you, or is that the way to explain that regarding stem cells?
Yeah, you know what? First of all, you're correct. But I would start at one level below that, which is with the mitochondria. So mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cells. It's what is going to convert the food that we eat into cellular energy. And so as people age, the amount of energy that's produced in the mitochondria decreases. This is called mitochondrial dysfunction. And it happens for a number of reasons. It can happen because of changes in gene expression. It can happen through dehydration, lack of proper nutrients in the body, lack of exercise. So the mitochondria decreases in performance, and we get less energy. So one of the things that the Lifewave patches do is upregulate the amount of energy the mitochondria is producing, and it increases that through what's called beta oxidation or fat burning. So the first thing people experience is an increase in energy production in the cell. Once we get an increase in energy in the cell, now we can start turning on stem cell activity, protein synthesis, detoxification. So people start to experience things that maybe they didn't experience for a few years. The second thing about pain relief, the reason why it's so quick is because pain is characterized by a decrease in mitochondrial function and also an impediment to the flow of bioelectrical energy through the nervous system. So when we turn on mitochondrial energy, now we can improve the flow of energy through the nervous system, and therefore pain goes down.
Okay.
We've had
Very, very good.
quite a few incredible. We've had, my wife was the original one patch wonder. Excuse me. And since then, we've had several others. Excuse me. The next question I would ask is, when you got your start back with the Navy SEALs and then with the Olympic swim team and on, and how did all this come about? And I know you talk about the downloads and God and, you know, what's kind of coming in. Can you just describe kind of how that works?
Yeah, you know, I would say, Gary, I've been unbelievably blessed in my life, and I would definitely give all thanks to God, because without God, I wouldn't even be here. And I used to think I was a really good inventor, and then I realized what was happening was that I was just downloading energy. I was downloading energy information from the divine and then just acting on it. And so I don't really think that I have any necessarily creative thoughts on my own. This is information that's given to me, and then I need to act on it to help others. So I was actually working on a power generation system at the time for the Navy. This was a turbine that had no blades and could run on any type of fuel. And it worked with actually worked with an energy vortex. And this was quite successful. So I was driving around Lake Lanier in Georgia. We had our lab up in Dahlonega, Georgia. And I was thinking about this vortex flow through the engine. And I thought to myself, you know, there must be a vortex flow through the cells. And maybe we could use that vortex as a communications channel. And so I got to work on that idea and started to think about how we could use we could use amino acids and sugars to create this vortex or circular rotation of light. So amino acids are stereoisomers, as are sugars, so they have a left-handed and right-handed form. So in other words, you take light and you pass it through these materials, and the light is going to rotate to the left or right. So we can get a vortex motion. So now it's just a matter of finding out what are going to be the correct combination of materials to induce the correct effect. So when you put a Lifewave patch on your body, it actually induces a vortex, and in that vortex, there is light that's stimulating the surface of the skin, and then this opens up a channel, and it communicates information that the body acts on. So this started for me back around 1998, and it took several years to really figure out how to do it right.
Wow. Yeah. So you started with the energy patch, and then it grew from there. Like, so when you had the energy patch, what gave you the idea to like just keep going? Because obviously, from what we know about X39, is X the 10 years that you've took to discuss to assemble this whole thing, and then 39 tries? Is that right?
X39. So 39 means it's the 39th patch I've invented.
What? 39. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's some patches. There's some patches that stay in the lab, and so they're not quite ready, you know, to be released to the general public, or they do things that, you know, aren't suitable that the FDA might have an issue with. But the Eon patch is like a frame of reference. It was the X15, and carnosine was the 9th patch, glutathione was the 7th patch. So what happened with all this, I was really just looking to use this with the SEALs as a way to improve energy. And I was, so when 9/11 happened, the military was really interested in weapons and not survival gear. So I started to market this out to the public and market it to athletes. And people that were using the samples were saying, hey, you know, I noticed that this is relieving my pain. And I thought, okay, well, that, you know, kind of makes sense. And since so many people were getting pain relief with it, I thought, okay, let's develop a product specifically for pain relief. And that Icewave became the second product. And then I had a fellow that invested very early on in Lifewave, and he said, you know, I'm having a problem sleeping. Could you develop a product specifically to improve my sleep? So then Silent Nights became the third product. And the one that really tipped things over the edge was glutathione, because as I kept thinking about this, I thought if I could find a way to turn on peptide synthesis in the body. That means there's like hundreds or thousands of different applications for this tech. And so glutathione was really the breakthrough product where it said, okay, now we can synthesize peptides, and now we have a whole new way of applying the tech.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you discovered that half of our stem cells go dormant at 30 to 35, and they continue to go dormant, and we call them back with the light from when you activate the GHKCU, 1/3 of the genes are called back. How does reactivation or regeneration of those cells different from getting an injection?
It's massively different. So when we started this project, it was back in the late 2000s, and I had developed glutathione and carnosine and eon, and was thinking, I tend to think, where do we want to be 10 years from now? So there's things that we have in the lab today. So if you were in my lab today, we have our facility in Orlando, you would see products that are going to be out about 10 years from now. Generally, that's the way that we think about things. And at the convention this year in October, I'm bringing some of my toys from the lab so people can get a glimpse into the future of, okay, this is what we're doing in 5 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
It's going to really be fun. So, yeah, so I started thinking about, where do we want to be in 10 years? And I thought, okay, we want to be in stem cells, right? That's going to be the future. So fortunately, we had an office in Ireland where we set up to do manufacturing. We also manufacture in the US, of course. And our office is in Galway County, and that's where the National University of Ireland is. And NUIG has a regenerative medicine lab, and the head of that lab is Dr. Tim O'Brien, who's one of the foremost stem cell scientists in the world, and he's a very, very humble guy. And so I was able to get a meeting with Dr. O'Brien, and I said, hey, I've got this idea on how to activate stem cells in the body using magnetic fields, and I'd like to do a trial at NUIG at your at the Stem Cell Center. And he said, okay, I don't really understand what it is that how this works, but it kind of makes sense. So let's just give it a try. So we got a $200,000 research grant from Scientific Foundation Ireland, and we started to get to work. And there were about maybe 70 patents that I got as a result of that work. And this was all different ways that we could electromagnetically manipulate the cell non-invasively for activating stem cells. And it works on an equivalent level to a stem cell injection. The problem was that these methods were very expensive, and we weren't going to be able to get regulatory approval from the FDA. So I thought, okay, let's see if we can take what we've learned and then apply it into a Lifewave patch. And I had done research, and I looked at the work from Dr. Lauren Picard and his study on GHKCU. So I thought, okay, if we could create a Lifewave patch that would elevate GHKCU, we could mimic some of the effects that we're seeing with this other therapy I invented, and that's how X39 was born.
Oh my God. So X39 is obviously like your signature patch, and all the other patches are absolutely amazing, but we see incredible results with just the X39. So many people are like, well, what patch would I need? So what can you tell them about, you only really truly need X39? What is the reason behind that?
Yeah, I would say most people, if they use X39, they're going to get a tremendous number of benefits. They're going to see an improvement in energy, an improvement in sleep, of course, an improvement in the way that they heal, an increase in collagen production, a reduction in inflammation, and an improvement in the antioxidant system. And that's really just to mention only a few of the benefits of X39. When people have a chronic injury, it's going to be associated with elevated levels of oxidative stress and inflammation. And so for those people, I would definitely recommend they combine X39 with Eon. Eon is a broad spectrum anti-inflammatory,
Right.
and it will help them to recover from that injury. Of course, you know, they have to have a proper diet, drink water, exercise, and everything else foundationally that we know is needed, you know, for good health.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
excellent. So the biomarkers of aging, as we wear the patch for every decade we're alive, in my case, it would be 7. And at the end of that time frame, biomarkers of aging are going to reverse up to 8 years or 8 years or more at a cellular level. And they will continue to reverse and will end up somewhere like 30 to 40 at a cellular level, and will live, you believe, to what age?
I would share the same opinion as Ray Kurzweil and other researchers in this field, like Bill Andrews and Aubrey de Grey, in that human lifespan doesn't necessarily need to have a limit. So, in other words, I don't see any reason why we couldn't hypothetically live to be 900 to 1,000 years old. So when I see those ages in the Bible, I tend to think
Right.
that those are actually accurate representations.
Oh, sure.
Statistically, whether or not we get there, that's a different thing. But the exciting thing about that, and really, you know, my goal with Lifewave is to develop tools that will allow people to stay as young as they want, as long as they want. And we don't necessarily want to think about, you know, what's the upper limit, because it's certainly hundreds of years, right? But our goal is, let's stay focused on getting people younger and having them live longer and live healthier, and give them those tools. And there's some really exciting benefits. So to that end, you know, next year is our 20th anniversary, and we're going to be coming out with some new tech that complements X39 that will take that dream to the next level. I would say it that way.
I heard a little bit about the results of that. Can you share how quickly people experience? I mean, because everyone says, I don't feel anything, or I do feel something.
Right.
And the new product that you had, can you just share the time frame that they felt something?
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, I mean, I think to really frame this properly is what I've been doing the last 3 to 5 years is been in studies of species that don't age. So I look at predominantly lobsters, and look at hemnithorax ants, planaria, and what I found was a code in lobsters, a mathematical code. And it hasn't been,
Oh my God, David.
we haven't had the tools until maybe the last 20 years to discover this code. So you need some very sophisticated laboratory equipment to see this. But there's actually, how do I want to say this? So there's actually systems in the lobster. I don't want to give away everything right now. I'm saving that for later. But there's systems in the lobster where you can mathematically calculate or measure, more specifically, specific frequencies of energy coming off of these organisms, and they follow a very, very specific code. So I developed several different technologies that I filed patents on based around this code, so that we could apply this to human beings. We did our human pilot study, and about a month later, I was in a Bible study, and I was watching this video, and the Bible study was about different numbers and sequences that appear in the Bible. And I was like, wait a minute, something is going on here. And I started to get out my calculator and crunch some numbers, and the sets of data in the book of Genesis were identical to the code in lobsters. So in other words, there is mathematical codes in the story of creation that is identical to the math that's found in lobsters that prevents them from aging.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. So,
but David, would normal people ever be able to see this, or is it just the way that your mind works?
I think it depends.
That's crazy.
I would say that this information was given to me through prayer, and I was guided through divine inspiration. I would say it that way.
Sorry to
as opposed to,
interrupt. Yeah.
yeah. So we created, yeah, so what we did was I came up with this idea and we started to develop it in our lab. And I have a great team of engineers that I work with that, you know, help turn these things into a reality. We started doing tests and, yeah, without giving away exactly what the product is, what we did was we connected people to heart rate variability, EEG, interstitial scanning. We did live blood cell analysis, urine testing, and medical infrared imaging. And so when people use this product, we did 20 people. The worst that we did was 2.5 minutes before we saw any change in the equipment. The average time was 15 seconds. So we would have people connected to the infrared camera, and in about 1 to 2 minutes, you could actually see white light coming out of their throat and out of their head.
My God.
With the EEG and the heart rate variability. So, example, we had one woman in the who had had a heart attack, and in about 1 to 2 minutes, her heart rate variability, which measures the ratio of muscle contractions in the heart, completely normalized. And that's something, you know, that never happens. With the interstitial scanning, that was immediate. That was about 10 seconds. The biopulsar was about 10 seconds. You see the literally the energy from this product goes into the cell, releases the energy instantaneously, and it goes throughout the entire body. And we saw age reversal effects in about 2-3 minutes in the cells.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
Yay.
So you've discovered 1/3 of the genome. I gotta believe you're on to trying to discover the other 2/3.
Right.
If we've gotten just what we've gotten out of 1/3, are we gonna be able to handle the other 2/3?
Well, that's a really good question. You know, I'm not sure with humanity if we're really ready for those things. But, you know, I would say that my observation has been that God has created us to adapt to all the problems that we face. So, for example, we're in an environment today with 5G, with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it's creating tremendous damage to most people, more than they really know. The vaccines, you know, we can talk about that openly today. The CDC, within the past few days, released a report. And on page 12 of that report, it stated that people that got vaccinated more than once, after 3 months, they were more likely to get infected with COVID than people that hadn't been vaccinated. So even now, you know, this information is coming out. So we need to be able to adapt to these problems. And with respect to man-made synthetic radiation, my personal belief, based on observation, is that copper, elevating GHK and AHK, copper peptides, increasing those levels in the skin protects the body from radiation. That's actually substantiated through third-party tests. And we worked with a biochemist to measure those effects and find out that people that are electromagnetically sensitive actually see a decrease in sensitivity wearing the patches. So, yeah.
That's incredible. And Gary knows this. Whenever I'm around large groups of people that did receive the injection, I get very sick. I even have bleeding and things like that. And I've been wearing the patches for a year. I was just at a huge concert and I didn't have any of those issues. So it was, I don't know if it's the patch, like just doing repairs and stuff, but I also was exposed to 5G in my apartment in California. And I was very, very sick. And if I'm around the tower for only a couple of minutes, like I do get sick. But lately, knock on wood, like I mean, I've kind of, I don't know if it's transitioned or just my body's being repaired from wearing the patches. I've been wearing them faithfully every day for a year. That's a huge possibility of that. And like, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Then I'll ask you.
What I'd say is, you know, there was a study done with women that were going through chemotherapy and radiation treatment. And what was found is that when those women were given injections of copper peptide, they didn't get the copper was blocking the radiation. What we found several years ago, back in 2019, we had a 15-year anniversary cruise. And many people came and said, you know what, I'm not getting sunburn. I usually get sunburn. And what we found later on is that, yeah, copper peptide, in fact, does block UV light. So what I suspect, and I have to say it that way because we don't have enough hard data, is that what we'll find is that this complex of copper peptides is a natural way for us to protect ourselves from man-made radiation.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting. So there are no, correct me if I'm wrong, there are no contraindications with the patch, correct?
No contraindications.
Okay.
So there's nothing entering the body.
Right.
The only thing that we ever see is a very rapid detox.
Okay.
So let's say that you have someone that's a smoker. You know, they've been taking pharmaceutical drugs. They're not healthy. They don't drink enough water. They could have a very rapid detox the first time they use one of the products, especially the glutathione patch.
Right.
So in those cases, just remove it, drink plenty of water, wait a day, and then try again.
So there isn't any testing or anything that from Lifewave per se about any kind of detox that could happen on the X39.
Oh, well, you know, we've done over 80 clinical studies over the last 20 years. So the type of, you know, I wouldn't call it a contraindication or a side effect even, but the type of things that people would report might be headache, fatigue, nausea through detoxification of, you know, heavy metals like mercury.
Okay.
But it's quickly alleviated through removal of the patch and drinking water.
So intermittent using of the patch over a period of time, it'll all pass.
Yeah, you know, if someone is using the patch regularly, like let's say, you know, they've been a smoker for a really long time, they might use the patch for 1 or 2 hours the first day, and then do it that way for the first week, let their body detoxify, and then the second or third week start wearing it a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
David,
go ahead, Crystal.
Go ahead. I have a question just about the X39 because it obviously we always talk about X39 and then pairing them together. So just a brief summary of what the X49 would be used for.
Yeah. So the X49 was a natural follow-up because it's an AHK peptide. So X39 is GHKCU, and that means it's based off of glycine, and AHK is alanine. And glycine is ubiquitous. It's found throughout the entire body, whereas alanine is a little bit more specialized. We see alanine being metabolized in the brain, in the heart, in the muscle, the bone, and the skin. And alanine is very, very interesting. As an example, it forms, one of the peptides it will form is carnosine, and carnosine is very well known, at least in our studies and others, at improving athletic performance and improving cognition and cardiac health. So AHK is rather similar, but where it differs is that it appears to recruit stem cells. And so we did a study with women over the age of 50 that were going through age-related bone loss. And what we found with using X49 is that we could stop the bone loss and increase the bone density over a period of about 2 months. So X49 appears to be very useful for people that are concerned about their bone density. The other thing that we found with X49 is that it does improve strength and stamina and reduce body fat, but it does it through different pathways than X39. So we did a comparison study of people only using X49 and then using the X39 and X49, and the combination of the two, of course, was better, but the way that they improved the performance was a little bit different. So that's why we recommend them pairing, because It's like X39 is good for your entire body. And then if you're focusing in on athletic performance, adding X49 amplifies those results.
Nice.
What,
Yeah.
before you change to that, I just want you to know, I know we don't claim that it grows hair, but I just want to show you that's what it used to look like, okay?
Yeah.
And this was a year later, right? And the lady that cuts my hair is now wearing the patch, just so you know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you say that, because in Dr. Picard's work, he noticed that GHK, when he was giving injections to people, that some people were regrowing their hair. And we saw, especially in Japan, I'm not sure if it's genetics or diet, but we get more testimonials on hair growth in Japan than any other place in the world. We certainly get them in the US, but in Japan, it's really something. Well, in any case, what Dr. Picard found was that AHK is actually 10 times more active than GHK at regrowing hair, and it's even on the same level as minoxidil. So Dr. Picard came out with a product where it's, I believe it's a cream that uses a combination of minoxidil with AHK. The minoxidil isn't necessary, but he has to include it so he can make the hair growth claim, because that's a drug claim.
Right.
But yeah, it does appear that AHK will stimulate hair growth. What I would recommend to somebody that wants to try that, I spoke with a doctor at a hair growth clinic, and he had said that if people went for microneedling and they opened up the pores, that their results at regrowing hair would be dramatically improved, as opposed to not microneedling.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah. So no matter how dire a person's situation is, because now that Gary and I have seen hundreds, if not thousands, that we've read about of testimonials, it kind of doesn't seem like it matters how bad your health is. You still get crazy improvement. We had one person that had, I don't know, 12 surgeries, broken almost every bone in his body, had chronic pain for probably 30 years, and within hours of wearing, I guess it was the X39, he could turn his head and lift it up, and he couldn't do that for years. So it's like, it's just wild how fast that it works, no matter how dire your situation seems. Like, so if someone's in a really bad space and they're not seeing results, right, does it mean that nothing is happening? Because we do get those questions like, I've been wearing for this many months and I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
So
so what our clinical studies have shown is that at least 85% of the people that use the patches get an effect. So when we run studies, we see statistical significance. And then sometimes it goes 93, 96% of the participants get results. There's always going to be some outliers. But, you know, to your point, you can connect people to different types of equipment. You can measure their blood and they say, I don't feel something, but yet there are measurable changes in their body. Sometimes the things are going to be very subtle. And then you made a comment earlier. Someone might say, well, you know, I've had this chronic shoulder pain and I'm not feeling any different. And then all of a sudden they realize that their lower back is better.
Right.
And they're out of pain, right? So the body has an intelligence and it tends to repair, you know, what it needs to repair first.
Got it. Yep. Because people ask that. That's it. Go ahead, Gary. That's
How
a big
about
question.
pets? Does it work for pets after you've used it? If you put it around your cat or your dog, and after a used X39 on a pet, will it regenerate their stem cells too?
Well, I should say between myself and my son and my daughter, we have 3 dogs. And so we're dog lovers and animal lovers in this family. So we don't do any experiments on animals. And when we have done studies on animals, it's on pain relief. So actually, our very first published study with Dr. Lauren Dirac, a veterinary acupuncturist, was on 138 horses. And we had 135 out of the 138 horses get pain relief. So that's a published study on our website. And that's measured through an electroacuoscope, medical infrared imaging, and palpation. So, yeah, but basically, that's why we started AccuLife. That was a requirement from the FDA. And so, but yeah, in simple terms, we found that the patches do work on animals.
Yeah. Beautiful. I have another question about pain relief and stuff. So I've had chronic pain since 14, and the majority of my pain is gone. There are some days where my elbow pain might come back, or my high hamstring pain will still be there if I take yoga class. So does that just mean that something hasn't been fully repaired? Because I think I've had a lot of things. I've abused my body for way too long, and then have had an eating disorder for a very long time since I was really little. So lack of nutrition, minerals, nutrients, all that stuff. So what do you say for people that say, I've been on these a year. I mean, I've had tremendous results, but I'm just saying for an ache or a pain that might resurface, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that could be any number of things. So a number of years ago, I was in the gym. I was doing some squats. I hurt my lower back. I hurt my knee. Pain went away for years. And then I was exercising again. I aggravated it. And then the knee pain came back, and I patched, and then it went away, and it's good. So those things are going to happen. And of course, healing in the body is extraordinarily complex. One of the things that throws the body off is the diet. And I would encourage people to get a food allergy test, but not the type where you get pricked by needles. These are blood tests. There's a company called All Test that does one. But as an example, you could have, let's say, almonds, right? So let's say somebody loves almonds. They may not realize that it is inflammatory for their body. So it gets into the gut. It disturbs the gut. That's going to disturb the immune system. It's going to make it more difficult for body to clear the inflammation. And now all of a sudden you exercise, you put your body under stress, and now you re-injure it, right? So it can be something as simple as that, that causes some residual inflammation.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So one of the joys of living is the intimacy between a man and a woman, right? So
you got that right.
Yeah. Okay, right. And you would be in favor because you talk about it a lot. So as we age and things kind of slow up and slow down, and the blood isn't quite flowing like it used to, we've had a couple of people on here that have talked about that joy had come back. Is that kind of something that everyone gets, or something we can share that things start happening, or what?
David, we nicknamed it X39.
Yeah. Yes. I've heard that one. So certainly, yeah, certainly there's people that say that. I started looking at this when I turned 50, and I wanted to do kind of like an analysis on what would be some effective ways for men and women to manage their hormones and hormonal changes without having to resort to drugs. And there's a number of natural ways to do that. So like one of the things that I study quite a bit is the amino acid taurine. And I think we're going to learn way more about taurine into the future. So as an example, if men were taking taurine, preferably not through Red Bull, just through supplementation, if they were taking taurine before the age of 40, then their testosterone, studies show their testosterone levels would never decline the rest of their life. And it's because the taurine is found in the brain and the heart and the testicles, and it acts like an antioxidant, and it prevents damage to the Leydig cells. So there's things like that men can do to protect their health. There's certainly there's certainly a number of herbs that work very well, intense exercise, keeping the body fat down. It's a huge subject to talk about. But what I would say is that for men and women that are interested in optimizing their hormones and optimizing their sex life, they certainly do not have to resort to drugs to do that. And two of the products that we have that I worked a few years on are our aromatherapy sprays, and that was specifically for that purpose, to help improve hormone profiles.
Great. Thank you for that. I was just curious. I wanted to hear his side of the story. I know that he talks about, that's part of life. One other thing that I've heard you share numerous times is the love vibration with others, and the impact that it has. And I've seen, numerous people talk. I've never heard anyone share about loving one another like I've heard from you.
Yeah, this is so interesting. So sometimes, what I'll say is I think Jesus was the first anti-aging scientist telling us to love one another, right? It's good for the planet. It's good for humanity. But the amazing thing about it is when you look at what happens with muscle fibers over time, there's several different things, right? So when we think of muscle atrophy, we think of a loss of the amount of muscle tissue, which is absolutely true. But something that's less talked about is the quality of the muscle tissue. When you look at muscle fiber under a microscope, you can see that there's a change. And so what's been discovered is that oxytocin, the love hormone, will actually reset the genes in muscle fibers, and those muscle fibers will go back to a more youthful state. So the Shine and Dream products were designed to elevate oxytocin for that purpose, so people could get an improvement in the quality of their muscle tissue and help to maintain their strength and stamina through a different mechanism. So for people that are interested in maintaining their strength and stamina, they can use completely natural products like beta-alanine, creatine, X39, X49, carnosine, the energy patches, and so forth. There's a whole spectrum of natural products that people can use to keep the muscle tissue young, healthy, and robust and strong.
Wow.
Okay, question about this. Gary, myself, and Carrie, we were on a live together. We had this epiphany. We're like, do the patches raise our vibrational frequency? Because we're all just like, I'm much more calm, I'm less reactive, and we just had this whole thing like, holy shit, is this what's happening?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I would say the patch that has the most, from my perspective, has the most intense effect of that way is Alavita. And
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I've been
Alavita
using it,
is designed to elevate epithalamine, and epithalamine is a pineal peptide. So, we get people telling us they have out-of-body experiences when using Alavita, and it's because the pineal is effectively opening up and starts to release neurohormone precursors. So, yeah, if you place the Alavita patch at the third eye, when you go to sleep, the dreams are intense and some other things can happen.
What do you mean some other things can happen? Like what?
Well,
what are we talking about here?
I think what I would say is, energy vibrations through the spine, astral travel, leaving the body at will, those types of things. Yeah.
How many patches do you wear in a day?
Yeah, I'm always experimenting with different things. So right now I've got X39 on the back of the neck, X49 below the belly button, and I'm actually trying a new protocol. I have a set of energy patches on the trapezius muscles, and then another set of energy patches underneath the collarbone.
Wow.
It's a acupuncture method called TKM, and I'm using it to tweak my eyesight a little bit. It's an eyesight tune-up.
Okay.
Wow.
I thought carnosine did that when you put it up here. I heard you share with Alex Zeck about the carnosines improving the eyesight. So this is something else.
That's something else. Yeah. So the carnosine absolutely does that. I have a problem sleeping when I use that carnosine protocol. It's like I close my eyes and I go to sleep, but my mind is awake all night. So I personally have difficulty doing that. So this is a different method. This is a method called TKM. And in TKM, it stands for the King method. And there's 23 different energy spheres in the body. It's related to acupuncture, but slightly different. And so I found a couple of years ago that if you stimulated a sequence of these points, it dramatically improved vision. So yeah, I happen to be using that right now.
Wow.
Wow. You got all the secrets.
Not all of them. I share a lot of them. I do keep some of them until I'm ready, but I'm pretty good about sharing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
How are you feeling about the company growth since the X39 came out? And I share people with another company several years ago. They had a coffee and something else. 20,000 people showed up. I tell them last year in Orlando, Florida, international company, the only stem cell activating patch on the planet, we had a whopping 1,400 people. I tell them that's so close to a ground floor opportunity, they haven't even put the carpet down.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So when we started, our first full year was 2005. We started in November of 2004. And we had a really good first year. We did 17 million in business our first year.
Wow.
And between that time and 2018, we were going between 20 million and 45 million a year. So nice size, for a company, but we couldn't quite break through that. And then once we released X39 last year, our sales were 10 times higher than they were in 2018. And this year, we're easily going to clear 350 million. So we're growing about, we'll be about 30 to 35% higher than last year.
Wow.
So we're growing and we're really healthy. Yeah.
Yes. So that is an outstanding number, right? And from a monetary figure. But how do you feel as a person that's changing the lives of so many people? I mean, it's what the messages I get every single day are just insane. So like, how does that make you feel that you were able to give this gift to people? Like, it's just indescribable, really, to imagine.
What I would say is I really like the work of David Hawkins. And what I think about is that it's important in life to destroy the ego from the perspective that you don't want to get into, my personal opinion is you don't want to get into a position where you think everything is about you and that it's really you doing these things. So I've developed a mindset where I think of the patches as my children and I'm proud of them. But I don't want to ever think about, oh, wow, that's really cool about something that I did, because then the ego spirals out of control. So I just think, oh, wow, I'm really proud of my kids. They're doing a great job. And, now I can sit back and do some other things and, try to help people along the way. So I would say that's probably a pretty accurate way to describe it.
Wow. Thank you. That's incredible.
Quick question. Can you share with everyone your push-up record?
Oh, geez. Yeah, so.
And how you got there and how you got there and what led you to do so many push-ups.
Yeah, so I had gone through some personal struggles back around 2015, and I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. I've got to get back in shape and start taking better care of myself. I was working too many hours like I usually do. I'm a workaholic, and so I thought, okay, I really got to devote myself, and I want to push myself here. So I started intermittent fasting. I started getting back on a regular exercise routine. I've loved weightlifting my entire life, but I wanted to get back and really commit. And I've been doing that for a few months, and I heard about this push-up challenge. And basically, you do as many push-ups as you can. You rest, I think, 1 minute, and then you repeat, and then you do that till failure. So I did 402 push-ups in 28 minutes. And I thought, okay, if I could do that, what else can I do?
Yeah.
So I went to a gym in San Diego, and I hired this fellow. Hired this fellow Jacques to be a personal trainer. He had been a bodybuilder and a baseball player, and I went in for a session with him, and I did a workout, and he goes, that workout would have killed most people, and you're not even breathing heavy. So come back next week. I want to find out what you can really do. So I started training, and after a couple of months, I was training with some of the Marines that were in San Diego. And yeah, I was doing I hit 89 pull-ups in a workout. I was doing dumbbell rows with dumbbell rows with like 85-pound dumbbells and that kind of stuff.
That was with energy enhancer or no?
Sorry?
That was with the energy enhancer or no patches?
No, that was pre X39 actually.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2016, 17, 18. And I got in really insanely good shape, and my kids would be like, Dad, you've got to go on American Ninja. Dad, you've got to start competing. And it was really, really great. It was really fun. I really enjoyed pushing my body that way. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
That's a lot of push-ups.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Oh my God.
10 years and X for the amount of time to develop the 39. Did you ever kind of look up and say, God, can't we speed this up a little? I mean, 10 years is like forever, and for a lot of people to work on something. Did you ever kind of think, I don't know if I'm going to get this?
I've been working on anti-gravity for 40 years. So,
oh my God.
All right. I got you.
David is not a quitter, clearly.
No, I would say, the journey, I've probably had a few hundred inventions along the way, and the journey is incredibly important because each, along the way you learn things that it may not ever see the light of day in the public, but it's an important part of the process because it helps you uncover, something else, and it becomes part of the story. So I wouldn't change anything because there's so many things that we learned that we later applied.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. So I have a friend that a friend that's a scientist that I work with now. And I can't say a lot about this, but before he came on board with us, he was working for Lockheed. And during the stem cell research, I developed a product that I have a patent on, and I'm not going to say which one it is. But one of the things that it does is it dramatically accelerates the rate of healing. So what we did was we took planaria, we cut them, and we put them into this machine. And normally it would take 10 hours for the wound to close. And these wounds close in about 10 to 15 minutes. It usually takes 17 days to regrow their tails, and we can regrow their tails in 16 and a half hours. And so I had this fellow in my lab actually last week. He usually works off site, and I was showing them this equipment, and he's saying, oh, that's, he goes, you've discovered time dilation. Because I said, the rate of healing is so fast, we're actually exceeding the rate at which the cells can make new proteins. Wow. And he said, yeah, he goes, the reason is because you're literally changing the relationship between the living organism and time. And that's why they're healing so quickly.
Wow. 10 hours to 10 to 15 minutes. That's insane. That's out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it's a little bit, So the important thing is, if we hadn't taken that journey, that would never have been discovered. and that hopefully, will someday make its way into the public.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Beautiful.
So
Thank you for your time. We're at an hour, but go ahead, Gary.
I got one more for you. So with the medical community, doctors and all kind of cardiologists and all these people being getting relief with the X39 and becoming believers, do you think the other side, the Western medicine side, is becoming more aware of what we can do with this lightweight therapy, or we're still kind of swimming upstream?
That's an interesting question. Michael Hamblin at Harvard has more published studies in light therapy than any other scientist that I'm aware of. Well over 400 studies, and so I think what I would say is that there are some very, very prominent people that are working in the field of light therapy. So Harry Whelan, for example, received millions of dollars from DARPA and the Department of Defense to do light therapy research back 20 years ago. So there are things maybe in the military that are well known and in fact are used with light therapy that haven't made it into the public yet. And, there is a financial incentive for pharma to sell drugs. And I don't think they're going to migrate away from that model anytime soon. So, I think essentially it's up to companies like Lifewave and others to bring light therapy out to the public and let consumers have that choice. And then, things will be the way they are. But it's kind of like there's always going to be two sides, right? There's going to be light and there's going to be dark. And and so it's our job to put these products out there and hopefully have other companies do similar things, so we can provide people with an alternative to some of the really destructive products that are out there.
Oh yeah, God.
Yeah.
Wow.
The last question that I have for you, David, is there anything, because people are like shouting in the comment section, is there anything that the patches can't help with? Because we're going from anywhere from plaque in the arteries to, I don't know, arthritis and things, torn meniscus. Is there anything that you'd be like, you know what? No. From my experience, what we've seen in every testimonial, it's just like, well, is there anything this can't help with?
Yeah, I think what I would say, a good way to answer that would be to say, first, we're not going to make any medical claims. And what I would encourage people to do if they're faced with a really serious illness is that they should work with their healthcare practitioner and come up with a holistic program. So start with things like ozone therapy, IVs, the vitamin C, DMSO, these type of things. Get your diet in check, get the crap out of the diet, get proper rest, exercise, hydrate, right? Build up your foundation and do those things, and then the patches can do their job. And the most important thing is that there's always going to be hope. Even when things seem really, really bad, turn to God, pray, get your life in order, seek out help. There's plenty of people that are willing to help, and the answers will come. So the patches are wonderful tools, and there's a lot of things that I won't claim, but it's so important for a person to have a foundation, a very, very strong foundation in all those things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're amazing, man. We're honored, thrilled. I know I am. This is the first day of summer will never be the same.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. The only
absolutely.
The one thing I'm surprised at is as I told you, I was working on anti-gravity for 40 years, and you never asked me whether or not I had a success. So
I figured we would have heard about
I was really surprised you didn't have a follow-up question on that. But other than that, it was a ball. I really appreciate the time.
But now you have to answer that question.
Next time we're in Aruba.
Fine. Okay. Fine.
Convention in October. We'll see you there on the stage.
I might, if I get enough requests, maybe I'll say something in October. Who knows?
Good.
Fine.
We'll
okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank
David.
you, Crystal.
This
Thank
is
you.
amazing.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye. So amazing.
Wow.
I think we covered all the questions that generally people have. I don't think we missed anything, right?
Golly, just so brilliant, so, down to earth. And
Kind, no ego, but I'm glad that he answered the question about the ego part, because he doesn't have one. You would think a person of that level of success in everything would be way different than the person that he is, and it's just amazing that he is such a kind and amazing soul.
And the people that we've seen who've had such success, someone that could say, David, you did this, and he's like, God gave the info, I just simply
takes no credit. I'd be like, I did this, I'm so grateful I could help so many people, and he's just like, these are like my kids going out to play, like, hey guys, this is what we got. And yes, Angel, this was recorded, I'm going to repost it. Just incredible.
Gifted, honorable, humble, smart. The guy's the full.
Humble.
You just don't find that in a lot of companies and
anywhere. Anywhere.
We found it in Lifewave, and what an opportunity with the company, and whatever's coming next. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. I thought I was only going to stay young with the patches. Now you're going to tell me there's something else. I'd be like, are you 16? I'm like, actually, I'm 20. Yeah, thanks for asking. Whoa. Can't wait.
That certainly was a 1-year anniversary kickoff to have.
Gary, listen, this is all because of you. This is all because of your persistence with me.
I say the same
so thank
thing.
You.
It was a lot of prayer, and I'm so thankful God answered it. And I told Barbara when they took my page down, I said, listen, this is a gift from God, and I'm not stopping. I'm going to share it with as many people. And who shows up? A Crystal Teeny.
Yeah.
And you told me this week I'm stuck with you, so be it.
You are stuck with me.
Oh, my goodness.
That's it.
I'm thrilled. Yeah.
Yes.
More good.
Wow.
Coming, more people to be helped. We're just simply carrying the message. What an opportunity. What a gift from God. It really is. There's no other way. And the love vibration is so important. And I really believe the fact that we get connected, and we get, the homeostasis things. And when you realize that you're doing something, it's like, where did that come from? Something's going on. Yeah.
Right. Amazing.
I love you.
Love you too.
We're going to keep it up.
Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Great job.
Same to you, Gar. Guys, that was so much fun. I could have asked a million more questions, but I have to respect David's time. But hopefully all of your questions, or most of your questions, were answered. I think we covered mostly everything, I hope. Jim, we got the X39 in there. But I am going to repost this so you guys can watch it or share it or whatever you want to do. And if you have any questions or anything, or you're interested in patching, you're interested in the business of patching, send me a DM or text Gary, and we will get the information out to you. I am saving this live, and I will be reposting it as soon as I get off of here. But again, you can send me a DM or text Gary. His number is down at the bottom. I will post it in the caption as well, to reach out to us and get you patched. It's been the most incredible journey with a technology like this, and as you guys can see, based on who the inventor is, that this company is just like nothing I've ever been a part of. So thank you guys all for joining and watching. I'll be reposting this. I send you all so much love, healing, light, and yes, you can DM me. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow night, if not Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sending you guys love. Have a beautiful